Hi listeners, welcome to the ARM Controller Lab. I am Naveen Kumar, a lecturer in ENC Department, Government Polytechnic, Mulbagal. Warm wishes to all. In this session, we are going to discuss how to write an assembly language program to count number of ones and zeros in a 32-bit integers. And also we are going to check its functionality in the Keel IDE. These are the table of contents through which we are going through. Prerequisites required for understanding the program, then specific objectives, course outcome, methodology, flowchart, working of some instructions useful for executing or understanding the program, then the assembly language program, then the contents of registers, memory and CF, that is carry flag after each iteration, then application part of it, then assessment followed by activity. What are all the prerequisites required for understanding the program? One has to have knowledge on ARM core architecture, including the register set, then ARM instruction set, thorough knowledge on ARM instruction set, then the number system like binary, hexadecimal, decimal, and the conversion between these different number notations like between binary and decimal, between binary and hexadecimal, and like that. What is the specific objective we are going to achieve after gone through this session? So we will be able to write an assembly language program to count number of zeros and ones in a 32-bit integer. And also we have to be able to run the program on integrated development environment and check it for its working. What are the course outcome? By going through such similar programs, we will be able to analyze the assembly language programs. And also, we will be able to understand the procedure to execute the assembly language programs with the simulator by using an integrated development environment. What is the methodology or logic that is used in writing the program, this particular program? We know that ARM supports logical shift and rotate operations, which can rotate the contents of register bitwise. And we have one particular instruction called LSRS instruction, which is capable of shifting the contents right by number of positions specified with the instructions. Here, the contents of registers are shifted right, where the MSB is appended with 0 and the LSB is shifted out to the carry flag, right? Thus, after shifting the contents right by one position and by checking the carry flag and repeating the same procedure for 32 times, we will be able to count the number of zeros and ones in a given 32-bit integer. This is the logic. Now let us implement the same logic over here. Here we are going to flowchart. Flowchart is a graphical or pictorial representation of a solution to a problem, right? We go with the start and we read the input number for which the zeros and ones count has to be determined. And we initialize the loop counter to 32. Why 32? Because there are 32-bit bits in 32-bit integer. So, and we need to have two counters for zeros count and ones count. So we initialize that counters to 0. What is the logic I said? We rotate the number through the carry right. So that's what we are doing here. Rotate the number right by one position through the carry flag. Now we are going to check that carry flag. If it is 1, yes, increment the ones counter. If it is 0, increment the zeros counter. Now we have done with checking of one bit, go to decrementing the loop counter by 1. So is loop counter 0? Indicates that we have done with all the numbers. If loop counter is not is equal to 0, go back and repeat the same procedure. Right? Whenever we have checked all the bits in a 32-bit integer, the loop counter will be 0 and we go to storing the zeros and ones count. That will be the end of the problem. Now, for understanding the program better, we have to have a knowledge on some instructions over here. So let us go through the instructions. LSR instruction, logical shift instructions. I said earlier itself, it is capable of shifting the contents of a given register right by number of positions specified in it. Here, as can be seen here, The MSB is appended with 0 and the contents of registers are shifted right by number of positions specified, and in each bitwise rotation or shifting, the LSB is shifted out to the carry flag. And you must note that the carry flag is affected only LSR is used along with the suffix S. Now let us go through some instructions to understand it better. Move R1 comma 7. So I have given which is equivalent of binary equivalent of decimal 7 or hexadecimal 7. And when we go to move S R2 comma R1 comma LSR, it will shift the contents of R1 right by one position. So this LSB position will be shifted out to the carry flag. So after executing this particular instruction, R2 and R1 contents are like this because the MSB is appended with 0 and this LSB comes out of the register and it will move to carry flag. Now you notice that we have used suffix S so that it will update the flag in the CPSR register, right? What is the field that is updated? That is conditional flags in the CPSR register. Now working of BCS instruction, branch on carry set. As the name itself indicates, it branches to the label associated with it when carry flag is set. Now consider a piece of code. Move R0 comma 3. That is least significant bits in this are 1 1. That is 1 1 is binary equivalent of decimal number 3. R0 value is equal to 3. Whenever I use shifting operation, the LSB 1 will be shifted out to the carry flag. So carry flag will be set. So BCS next will take the control to the next because carry flag is set. So the control comes to add R2 comma 1. This is the working of BCS instruction. Next, BNE instruction. Actually, it is used for checking the loop counter in our program. So it takes the control to the label specified when 0 flag is equal to 0. Otherwise, the execution continues with the next instruction or the instruction following it. Now, a piece of code I have used which will make sure that R3 contents will be 0. So here, sub instruction, each time it will decrement the register contents by 1. So whenever register contents are not is equal to 0, 0 flag will not be equal to 1. So it will take the control back to the repeat. Again, sub instruction will reduce the R3 contents by 1. Again, if R3 is not is equal to 0, BNE will take the control back to the repeat. Whenever R3 becomes 0, the 0 flag will be 1. This BNE will not take the control back to the repeat. Then move R5 comma 1 will be executed at the end. Now let us go through the program. So the logic what we see in methodology, same we are going to implement over here. This area directive along with the data directive defines the section of memory where we are going to store the data with the name data1. Right, and this read write directive specify that we are having hashes for both read and write operation, and this result variable points to the first memory location in that memory section, and we are storing it with 0, right? And DCD directive mentions that this particular memory location is of 32 bit in size. Again, we are going to use area directive along with the code directive indicates that we are going to use this memory section for writing the code. And this read only indicates that we have only read only access to these particular memory locations, right? Entry directive indicates that entry to the code. Now LDR R0 comma some memory location value. Here we are assuming that the input value we are going to store at this particular memory location. This is the pseudo instruction. It will load the immediate value to the register R0. And we need, I said in the flowchart, we need 2 variables for counting zeros and ones. So we are using 2 register over here. We are initializing them to 0. Then we need 1 loop counter, which will be equal to number of iterations, that is equal to number of bits, that is 32. and we are loading that input value stored at this particular memory location into R4. Our input number is available in R4 now. So what is the logic I said? The number will be rotated right one time through the carry, and that carry will be checked. By checking the carry, we will increment either zeros counter or ones counter. Now, these set of instructions are iterative instructions. What is the purpose of these iterative instructions? This will rotate the number right by one position and checks the carry flag. If carry flag is equal to 1, increment the ones counter. If carry flag is equal to 0, increment the zeros counter. Right? Now you see LSR instruction shifts the R4 contents right by one position through the carry. Now I have used yes so that it updates the CPSR conditional flags. Assume if LSB is equal to 0, that is carry flag will become 0, then BCS will not take the control to ones count, then add R1, that is 0 counter will be incremented, then B down, it will take the control to the down, then loop counter will be decremented by 1, BNE will check whether loop counter is 0. If loop counter is not is equal to 0, the control will go back to the repeat. Again, the contents of register are shifted right by one position. If contents are 1, that is carry flag will be set, BCS 1 count will take the control to the 1 count. Then ones counter, that is R2 will be incremented by 1. So this process will be repeated until the loop counter will become, or loop counter becomes 0. When loop counter becomes 0, the 0 flag will be 1. So BNE will not take the control to the repeat. Then we come to storing the result section. So the memory location where the result has to be stored will be moved to the R5 now. Now using the storing instruction, the zeros counter and ones counter values will be moved to the memory location. Here the effective address is R5 contents. First, we load the contents of this register to the memory location pointed by R5. Then the contents of R5 are incremented by 4, so that we can assess the next memory location for storing the result. Now, R5 contents are incremented by 4 in this particular instruction. Now, the ones counter will be loaded to the memory location pointed by R5. So that's the end of the program. Then we go to the stop. This is the unconditional branch instruction. It will keep on moving the content between this particular instruction. And end indicates end of the program. Now let us execute this particular program on the IDE and check how it works. Right? Now we need to create a project. For creating the project, you need to go to project, new mission project. Here you need to give the project name. Project, say I'll give project 2. Save it. I have used Keel version 5.22 where you need to select the legacy device data pack. In other version, you can directly type over here, that is LPC 2148, it appears here. It lists set of features of LPC 2148. Then you say OK. It will ask for whether to copy the startup file to the project folder and add file to the project. You have to say no. Now we need to type our program in the editor window. You go to the file and click on new, or else the shortcut is available. You can click on this particular icon. Now I have typed my program over here. I'll take it that because typing will take too much of our time. Now I'll paste it, right? Now you need to save it. Now say I will use as counter dot s. You should not forget to give the extension that is s, which is used for indicating the assembler that it is an assembly language program. Now you save it. Right? Once you have done, once you have saved it, you have to link your .s file to the project. You should right click on the source group. You click on add existing files to the source group. Now you select the file which you have given, that is counter s, then add. So you can see the plus mark over here. It indicates that it has been added. You close it and you go there. Now after adding this, you need to build the target. Click on source group, select build target. If it indicates how many errors are there in your assembly language program, you should make sure that there are 0 errors. If any errors, it indicates the line number where the errors have occurred. You need to go to that line and you have to recognize what are the errors and you have to rectify it. Now once we have done it, you need to go to debug, then start or stop the debug session. Say okay. Now I said that the input number for which zeros and numbers have to checked is stored at this particular memory location, that is 40000 You need to go to the memory window and you need to type the number over there. That is right. So you need to give the input number. I'll give 00 F0 00. You just have to double click on it and you have to enter the values. So input number is 00 F0 0000. I have taken a simple example where it is easy to determine the number of ones just by looking. See here, F is there. So number of ones in the 32-bit numbers is 4. And number of zeros are 32 minus 4 will be 28. Right? So here after entering the input value, you need to go to debug, then run the program. If you run the program, the output you will be get in just single click. Right? If you need to understand the program step by step, you can go to step execution by clicking on this, or else shortcut is available. You can click this. So in the first instruction, the memory value or the memory address where the input number is stored will be moved to the R0. Then we were initializing the R1 and R2 and R3 counters. Now the R3 will have a value of 32. Here 20 indicates that it is in hexadecimal value, right? 20 is hexadecimal value of 32. Now this particular value, that is 00 F0 0000 will move to the R4 register. Now you can see this, right? R4 is updated. Getting? Now it will rotate the R4 contents right by 1 position through the carry flag. We can check the carry flag now. See, initially the carry flag is equal to 0. When it is rotated, since the LSB in the particular given number is 0, so carry flag will be remaining 0. Then it will not go to the ones count. Then it will increment the zeros counter. You can see zeros counter is incremented by 1, that is R1. So this procedure has to be repeated for 32 times. So you can keep on clicking this. You can see it will keep on incrementing the counter, zeros and ones counter. Right? See here, zeros count is keep on incrementing. Since R2 is 0, there are no ones encountered so far. Whenever ones are there, carry flag will be set. After executing LSR instruction. keep on running the stepwise. See now, after executing the LSR instruction, since the carry flag is equal to 1, the ones counter is executed. See now, the carry flag is equal to 1, see the bit is 1, so increment the ones counter. See now the R2 will be incremented by 1. See, that's how the counter goes up. So this will be done for 32 iterations until R3 becomes 0, which will be used as, which is being used as loop counter. See, it has come to an end now. Since R3 has become 0, we have checked with all numbers. You can see that the result is updated at this particular memory location. See, first zeros counter stores at first memory location and ones counter is stores at second memory location. Here ones count is 4 and zeros counter is 1C, which is hexadecimal equivalent of decimal number 28, right? And this we have done stepwise, and you can also change the number just by start or stop the debug section, and again you need to click on start or stop debug section. Now you need to enter the number once more, right? Now I'll give double F. So among these 32-bit numbers, see now the number of ones are 8, right? So it should appear here. We checked stepwise now. We run program all at once. The output value will be updated at 0, 0. Right? Now see, the result is not updated yet. I will go to debug, then run. See, immediately this will be updated, right? So this is how we execute the program on the Keil IDE. There are different IDEs available like Eclipse, Ride, Co-IDE. These all supports ARM controller programming, but we have used Keil version here. So let us see now the contents of registers after executing the program. This we have already gone through. Let us quickly go through these contents. R4 holds the value to be tested, and after each iteration it represents the value of R4, and R1 will be the zeros counter, which is 28 for the given input number for this number. R2 will be the ones counter for the given input number. See, R3 is used as a loop counter. In each iteration its count will be decremented. When it goes to 0, the iteration ends. Now just observe this. We have given the input at 400000100. That is for checking. We have given this simple number, and it has to work for any number, of course. So the result, that is zeros count, appears in 400000000. That is 1C, which is hexadecimal equivalent of 28, and the ones count is stored at this particular memory location. That is how many number of ones are there in this particular number. That is 4, right? Now we have written the program and we have checked on the Keil IDE where such programs are useful. Such programs are useful in communication. In communication, the transmitter adds a parity bit to the information bits before sending it to the receiver. This will enable the receiver to check whether the receiver bits are proper or not, whether the received bits are correctly received or not. So we use two types of parity over there. One is odd parity and is even parity. In odd parity, the number of ones are odd, like 1, 3, 5, 7. In even parity, the number of ones are even, like 0, 2, 4, 6, and so on. If the parity of the receiver bits is other than the parity used the transmitter, the receiver realizes that there is an error in the receiver bits. Assume that we have used odd parity at the transmitter, but we have received even parity at the receiver and both are not coinciding. So receiver thinks that there is an error in the transmission. Then receiver then discards the receiver bits and may ask the transmitter for retransmission. Example, transmitted bits are like this: 1010, 1101. That is odd parity we are using. You can check that the number of ones are 5, which is odd number, so we call it as odd parity. Then received bits are like this: 1010, 1100. You can see that number of ones are 4, which is even parity, and the transmitter parity and receiver parity is not matching, so receiver thinks that there is an error. So we have understood so much now. So what we have understood so far, let us check through the assessment, right? The suffix S in the ARM instruction updates dash field in the CPSR, right? Which field? It is conditional flag field. That is answer is A. LSRS R0, R0, 1 instruction. MSB of R0 is filled with what? I said that it is filled with always 0. That is answer is B. Let R2 is equal to 1. The 0 flag after executing LSR R2, 1. See, carefully observe the LSR instruction. What have we used? We have not used yes suffix over there. So the 0 flag will not be updated. That is answer is C. Now let R2 is equal to 1. That is, if 0 flag is equal to 1, BNE next instruction, here next is the label. What will happen? It checks the 0 flag. BNE will take the control to the next only if 0 flag is equal to 0. Since 0 flag is equal to 1, what will happen? The execution continues to execute the instruction following it. That is answer is B. The number of ones in the given number, I have used simple number over there. So binary equivalent of 7 is 0,111. It means how many number of ones are there? 3 number of ones are there. The answer is D. Consider one more instruction. In strR1, R5, #4, the effective memory address is. To which memory the contents of R1 are stored? Right? To the memory that is pointed by R5 itself. So the answer is A. Now consider move R5, 7. After above instruction, how many times R5, 1 should be executed so that C flag will become 0. Right? 7 means 0,111. For the first 3 times, the carry flag will become 1. After 4th iteration, the carry flag will be 0. So the answer is 4. That is D. Let R1 is equal to 5, R2 is equal to 4, and memory, that is 32-bit memory of 4 will store the value 6. The contents of R1 after execution of LDR R1, R2. What will happen? What will be moving to the R1? Whether contents of R2 or the contents of memory location pointed by R2. Of course, yes, the contents of memory location pointed by R2. Which memory it points? That is 000004. What is the value stored there? 6. So the value 6 will be loaded to R1. Thus, the answer is C. Let the receiver receives 8-bit data 110110011. The parity of received bits is, how to check? You count the number of ones over there. 111111. There are 6 ones there. So 6 is a even number. So the answer is yes, even. That is B. The parity bits are added to the information bits by who will add? OLED, it will be the transmitter. That is, answer is A. So let us do some activity. So we have learned a program to count number of ones and zeros in a 32-bit integer. Now you write a program to count the total number of ones and zeros in an array of 5 32-bit numbers and run on the IDE. Right? You consider 5 32-bit numbers. 32-bit numbers, you store them in a memory like a lookup table, and you go through all 5 32-bit numbers and count the number of ones and zeros in it, right? And you also check the same program on the IDE. Now you write a program to check the parity of received 32-bit number stored in the memory. If a parity of received number is odd, store 1 to the R0. That is, 1 in the R0 indicates that the received parity is odd. Otherwise, store 0 to the R0. It indicates that the parity of received bits is even. So, and run the same program on IDE. So, thank you. Thank you for listening the lecture.